Imagine standing alone in the middle of a frozen wilderness. Snow covers everything around you, and the wind cuts through the forest like a blade. The silence is broken only by the sound of a violent snowstorm moving through the trees. This is a story about survival in the harshest environment imaginable. It is a story about endurance, loneliness, and an unexpected bond between two living creatures struggling to survive the unforgiving winter. I live alone in a small wooden house deep in the forest. During the warmer months, it's peaceful, but winter transforms it into a frozen prison. Inside, the cold presses against the walls. The fire struggles to stay alive, but a stronger feeling grows: hunger. And the food container is empty. Every last bit of food is gone. With the storm raging outside, this is the worst possible time to run out of supplies. But there is no other choice. If I stay, hunger will only grow worse. The cold outside is brutal, but the forest is the only place where I might find something to eat. Survival now depends on stepping out into the storm. I take a deep breath and begin preparing to leave. I reach for my heavy fur coat and my axe. The blade is sharp and reliable. I pick it up, feel its weight, and prepare to face the winter. Beside it, I take a fishing rod. Somewhere beneath the frozen landscape, rivers and lakes still exist under layers of ice. Fully prepared, I open the wooden door. The storm greets me immediately. The wind pushes against my body as I step outside. Snow whips through the air, stinging my face. The forest, once familiar, now looks like a frozen maze. Each step sinks deep into the snow. But turning back is not an option. Out here, survival depends entirely on persistence. If I stop now, the storm wins. Exhaustion begins to creep into my body. My muscles feel stiff, and my hands start to lose sensation. I know I cannot wander endlessly. I need warmth, heat. My body craves it. The warmth of the fire feels like a distant memory now. Out here, everything is cold, mercilessly cold. Each breath I take feels heavier than the last. The freezing air fills my lungs and burns slightly as I inhale. Then, through the sound of the wind, something reaches my ears, a faint cry, fragile and desperate. Please, help me. Without thinking, I follow the direction of the sound. My exhaustion fades behind a surge of determination. Finally, I see it. An eagle. The magnificent bird lies trembling weakly against the frozen ground. Its breathing is strained. I kneel beside it carefully. Out here in the middle of this forest, both of us are fighting the same battle against the cold. Without hesitation, I gently lift the eagle into my arms. The storm still rages around us. But now, survival is no longer just about me. The eagle feels surprisingly light in my arms, yet I can sense how weak it has become. Its feathers are soaked with snow and ice, and its body trembles against the freezing wind. The storm has taken nearly all of its strength. Every few seconds, it lets out a faint cry, as if trying to stay awake in the middle of the brutal cold. I pull the bird closer to my chest, shielding it from the wind as much as I can with my coat. Out here, the storm shows no mercy. Snow continues to swirl through the forest, and the gusts of wind strike again and again, pushing against us as if trying to force us back into the wilderness. For a moment, I look around at the white landscape stretching in every direction. The trees stand like silent figures in the storm, their branches weighed down by thick layers of snow. The path back to my house is already beginning to disappear beneath the drifting snow, but I cannot stay here. The eagle needs warmth. So do I. Holding the bird carefully in my arms, I turn back toward the direction of the wooden house and begin walking again. The storm has grown even stronger now. Every step feels heavier than before. My boots sink deep into the snow, and the cold air bites into my face as the wind pushes against me. Still, I keep moving. The eagle rests quietly against my coat, its breathing slow and uneven. Occasionally, it lets out another weak call, a soft sound that disappears almost instantly in the wind. Time passes slowly in the storm. Each step forward feels like progress, but the forest around me remains endless. Snow covers everything. More than once, I stop to check my surroundings, making sure I am still heading toward the house. The thought of the fire waiting inside keeps me going. Warmth. The word returns to my mind again. Warmth for the eagle, warmth for myself. Finally, the familiar outline of the wooden house appears through the falling snow. Relief spreads through my body as I move closer. The sight of the small cabin standing against the winter landscape feels almost unreal after so long in the freezing wind. I reach the door quickly and push it open. Inside, the air feels slightly warmer, though the cold has followed me in from the storm. I step inside and close the door behind me, shutting out the violent wind. The fire still burns quietly in the corner of the room. Without wasting a moment, I move closer to it. 불길의 온기가 방 안으로 퍼지며 얼어붙은 손을 녹입니다. 나는 독수리를 불 근처에 조심스럽게 내려놓았습니다. 독수리의 날개가 온기에 적응하려는 듯 힘없이 떨립니다. 나는 젖은 코트를 벗고 눈을 털어냈습니다. 따뜻한 수건 2장을 준비해 하나는 내 어깨에, 다른 하나는 독수리의 젖은 날개 위에 덮어주었습니다. 밖에서는 여전히 폭풍우가 포효하고 있었지만 오두막 안은 이제 따뜻하고 안전한 안식처가 되었습니다. 우리가 해냈어, 친구야. 나는 회복해가는 독수리를 바라보며 조용히 속삭였습니다. 새는 이제 안정을 찾았지만 밤을 지새우려면 더 많은 장작이 필요합니다. 장작 더미가 거의 비어 있거든요. 나는 도끼를 챙겨 다시 밖으로 나갈 준비를 합니다. 독수리가 안전하게 쉴 수 있도록 말이죠. Opening the door, I feel the freezing wind immediately rush into the room. Snow continues to fall heavily across the forest. The storm has weakened slightly compared to earlier. I step out into the cold and close the door behind me. The forest remains silent except for the wind and the occasional crack of ice-covered branches shifting under the weight of snow. I move toward a small area deeper in the forest where fallen trees are often scattered across the ground. Collecting firewood takes time. Every piece must be cleared from the snow and chopped. My breath forms clouds as the axe strikes again and again. Eventually, I gather enough logs and tie them together so I can carry them back to the house. The journey back through the snow feels slightly easier now that the wind has calmed, though the cold still presses against my body. My thoughts remain focused on returning to the warmth of the fire, but as the cabin comes into view, something feels wrong. The door, it is slightly open. I stop walking. A strange feeling spreads through my chest. I move closer, my steps suddenly faster. That door was closed when I left. Carefully, I step inside. The first thing I notice is the silence. The fire still burns, but the space feels empty in a way it did not before. Then I see it. Eagle feathers. They are scattered across the wooden floor. Panic rushes through me instantly. I drop the firewood and move deeper into the house, looking around quickly. "Where are you?" I call out. There is no answer. The towel lies on the floor near the fire, and the eagle is nowhere to be seen. More feathers are scattered across the room, leading toward the open door. My heart begins to pound. Only one thing could have done this. Wolves. Without wasting another second, I grab a sturdy stick from the corner of the house and rush back outside into the freezing wind. The snow outside tells the story clearly. Fresh footprints, large ones. A pack of wolves has passed through here, and they have taken the eagle. For a brief moment, I stand frozen in the doorway, staring at the tracks carved deep into the snow. The marks are still clear enough to follow. The wind sweeps across them, slowly trying to erase the evidence. The tracks move away from the cabin and lead toward the darker edge of the forest. My chest tightens. The eagle had only just begun to recover. It was weak, barely able to move, and completely defenseless against a pack of wolves. The thought of what might happen if I hesitate even for a few minutes fills me with urgency. I grip the stick tightly and begin moving along the trail. The storm has not fully disappeared. Cold wind continues to sweep across the forest, and snow drifts across the ground with every gust. But the wolves left their marks clearly in the snow. Their footprints form a rough path that stretches between the trees and deeper into the wilderness. I follow quickly, my boots crunching across the frozen surface. The forest feels different now. Every step carries a sense of tension. Somewhere ahead, the wolves are moving through the snow with their prize, the eagle. I tighten my grip on the stick and continue forward. The trail leads me past clusters of tall trees and across open patches. Occasionally, the wind tries to blur the path, but the trail is impossible to hide completely. They were many, and they were moving quickly. Still, I refuse to slow down. The forest begins to thin slightly. The trail leads toward the outer edge of a clearing. The wind moves more freely here, sweeping snow across the open ground. Then I see them, the wolves. A pack stands gathered in a loose circle near the base of a large tree. Their gray shapes blend almost perfectly with the snowy landscape. Some of them move slowly around the clearing, while others remain still, watching the center of the group. My eyes focus on the middle of the circle. The eagle. The bird stands pressed against the base of the tree, its wings partly spread but clearly too weak to escape. Its feathers are ruffled and it lets out repeated cries, the sound sharp and desperate against the quiet forest. The wolves close in slowly, testing the distance, waiting for the moment to strike again. A wave of anger and determination rises inside me. Without stopping to think, I rush forward. Holding the stick tightly, I charge straight toward the pack. The wolves react instantly. Several of them turn toward me with low growls, their eyes flashing in the cold light. But I swing the stick through the air and shout loudly, driving straight into the middle of the clearing. Back! The sudden movement breaks their formation. One wolf lunges forward but stops short when the stick swings again. For a tense moment, the wolves circle uncertainly. Then one of them turns away. Another follows. Soon the rest of the pack begins retreating into the trees, disappearing one by one into the forest shadows. The clearing falls silent. Breathing heavily, I lower the stick and look toward the tree. The eagle remains there, trembling but alive. It presses itself close to the trunk. Letting out soft calls that echo through the quiet clearing. Slowly I approach. Stay back, I say gently, lowering the stick to the ground. I won't hurt you. The eagle watches me carefully as I step closer. Let me help, I whisper softly. Carefully I lift the bird into my arms once again. The storm still moves through the forest, but this time we are going home together. The eagle feels fragile in my arms, far weaker than when I first found it in the snowstorm. Its feathers are ruffled and scattered, evidence of the struggle it endured against the wolves. Even so, the bird remains alive, and that is enough to push me forward through the cold forest. I hold it close as I begin walking back toward the wooden house. The wind moves quietly between the trees now. The storm has weakened, but the cold remains sharp and unforgiving. Snow crunches beneath my boots with every step, and the forest around us feels strangely calm after the confrontation in the clearing. The eagle rests silently against my coat. Occasionally it lets out a soft cry, but the sound no longer carries the same panic as before. Instead, it feels like a sign of exhaustion, like a creature that has fought hard and simply needs time to recover. The cabin slowly appears again through the trees. Seeing it standing there brings a quiet sense of relief. After everything that happened, the small wooden house feels more like a shelter than ever before. I push the door open and step inside quickly, closing it firmly behind me to keep the cold wind out. The fire still burns in the corner of the room, though the flames have grown smaller while I was gone. The warm glow spreads across the wooden walls, filling the cabin with a soft light that feels almost comforting after the dark forest. I kneel beside the fire and gently place the eagle near the warmth again. The bird barely moves at first, its body still weak from the attack and the freezing weather. I take one of the towels and carefully wrap it around its wings and back, making sure the heat from the fire can reach its feathers without burning them. Then I add more wood to the fire. The flames rise slowly, crackling as the new logs catch and begin to burn. The warmth grows stronger, spreading through the room and pushing back the cold that clings to my clothes. For a moment, I simply sit there watching the eagle breathe. After a few minutes, the bird begins to respond to the warmth. Its head lifts slightly, and its eyes open more clearly. The trembling that shook its body earlier begins to fade. I reach for a small container of water and bring it closer. Here, I say quietly. The eagle hesitates at first, but then it slowly lowers its head and drinks. Good, I whisper. Next, I take a small piece of food and place it in front of the bird. Eat, little one. You need your strength. It takes time, but eventually the eagle begins to accept the food, swallowing carefully as its strength slowly returns. Good boy, I say softly. That's it. The fire crackles beside us, filling the cabin with steady warmth. Outside, the frozen forest continues to sleep beneath the snow. Inside the wooden house, the eagle settles down near the fire once again. Its breathing becomes calm and its body finally relaxes. You are safe now, my friend, I say quietly. Rest. We will make you strong again.